Hello, everybody, and welcome to Live from M5. I'm your host, Mark Bonitz, and I'm here with
Mark Hardy.
Hadley Jantz.
Zachary Burdick.
And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about the Fellowship of Christian Athletes Club here at Rockland High School. So here I got my free people from the club. I got Mr. Hardy, who's our club advisor, Zach, who's our president, and Hadley Jantz, one of our students that attend the club. So let's get started. So let's start with you, Mr. Hardy. So when did this FCA club start?
Well, it's interesting. I've been teaching at Rockland High School for 32 years, and pretty much the entire time we've had some form of Christian clubs that have met in my classroom and so forth. But I believe it was approximately 6 or 7 years ago, that students approached me and said, maybe it would be great if we could do a Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We went ahead and kind of ran FCA concurrent with the Christian club that was going on at the time, but then ultimately, because Fellowship of Christian Athletes offers so many resources, so much support, like at the local and national level, we decided to kind of merge and basically make what was called the One Club and the FCA Club one group called FCA.
So you merged them together.
Yep.
Okay. And when did you become a club advisor for the club?
Well, basically right at that time. So I guess I honestly can't remember exactly, but it was somewhere in that 6 or 7 years ago.
6 or 7 years ago. Okay. And then let's go on to Zach. So, Zach, when did you first become a president of this club?
I became the president just this year, but I was a leader my sophomore year first. I was a member my freshman year, and then last year, my junior year, I kind of stepped up, being more of a leader, like in front, like welcoming people and stuff. But then this year, as a senior, I took the president's role.
And why did you want to take the president's role?
I think it was just a really good opportunity, because stepping up from being the leader to the president, and then just to be able to share like about what we do and kind of develop our other leaders to be able to take my spot when I graduate. I think it was a good opportunity.
Yeah. All right. And then for you, Hadley, when did you first join the club as a student?
I attended the club a few times, I think freshman and sophomore year, but this year I started going consistently, so I really enjoy going every week now.
Yeah, that's cool. And why do you enjoy going every week now?
I really like seeing the community of Christians we have on this campus, because, I mean, some people like you wouldn't know until you saw them there, and then you're like, oh, that's really cool, we share this in common, and getting to meet new people who share the same beliefs is really cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So, Mr. Hardy, how do you feel like this club has changed over time, whether it be the growth or, the amount of students that are like really enjoying this club and the excitement? How have you seen the change from this club since your time joining here?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're talking about kind of gospel ministry, which this is an example of, we're hoping for growth in kind of two different ways. One is that more and more people will come to know and follow Jesus, and that those who know and follow Jesus will be growing personally in their faith as well. So a couple things come to mind. There have been more students over time. Usually every single Wednesday, either my classroom is totally packed out if we meet there, or if we meet in the tech lecture hall, for example, this past Wednesday, just completely packed, which is great. A lot of students showing interest in the gospel, interest in Jesus, interest in the Bible. But then another thing I'm seeing is that a higher percentage of our students are really interested in growing in their faith. We have something once in a while called, for example, FCA Core, where there's no pizza, there's no special guest speaker, the things that might kind of attract students. But what there is we just get together and we want to study the Bible, dig deeper into something about our faith and so forth. And anyway, I've been very encouraged to see students wanting to dig into things like that, even if there's not the extrinsic motivation of free pizza or other things along those lines.
I know food's a big part of your factor for getting people in to join.
Right. Yeah. And it is interesting. You could say it's a little manipulative or whatever, but it makes it more of a fun atmosphere. It makes it kind of more worthwhile in some ways. And hey, if that helps them to hear the gospel, to hear Bible truth, we're really all for it. Just a quick shout out as well. On Thursdays, there's something called RHS Bible Study Club. And through that, I'm also seeing just a lot of students that are very interested in not just the community, but in really wanting to know the Bible, wanting to know Jesus more.
Yeah, and going on, what does this mean for athletes, who want to get more religious in this club? How does this club really help those athletes who want to be into more of their religion?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of ways that you could answer that question. And by the way, not everyone in FCA is an athlete. Of course, in the name it says that, and it tends to cater to athletes more. But specifically, I think maybe the most valuable thing is to help athletes keep their sport in perspective. That, for example, why am I playing this sport? Not for my own glory, not to be so wrapped up in competition that I might, even treat people inappropriately or try to exalt myself, but that I want to glorify God through my sport. That a relationship with God can give me perspective, can give me peace, can help me have even a deeper motivation, understanding what life's really all about. So I think it's just neat to see how athletes learn to play their sport more to the glory of God, and to see even their team and their opportunity to kind of be on stage, on the court or in the pool or whatever it is, as an opportunity to shine the light of Christ, even in that venue.
Yeah, definitely. And we see a lot of our athletes, tend to be very religious and stuff about their sports. Yeah. But for you, what makes this club so special for you to be a part of?
Again, it's basically because I care deeply about people coming to know and follow Jesus. It's something that sometimes at school, got to be careful about how explicit we are about this and so forth, but I believe that it's the way of salvation. So what is special for me is to see students come to know Christ, to see students getting serious about their faith even at a young age, to see that starting to pay dividends in their life in terms of transforming how they think, how they act, how they love other people. It's just really encouraging and exciting for me. There were a lot of discouragements, of course, during like the COVID times and stuff like that, and a lot of difficulties. And it's been very edifying and encouraging to me to see students like Zach and like Hadley and like others just really become leaders in their faith. It helps me to press on, even as a much older guy. And it makes me think back on how I, as a 17-year-old, started following Jesus, and how because adults helped me to get serious about my faith at that young age, it's paid major dividends over the years in terms of just transforming me.
Yeah, definitely. And as coming from someone who's not, very religious or study the Bible, I can definitely see the difference between, the adults who do accept God and, study the book every day. It definitely helps them out a lot. So,
thank you.
Yeah. So on that point, Zach, as a club life, what is the average? Take us through like the average day of this club. Starting from the beginning to the end. What exactly do you guys do in these meetings?
So in these meetings, it starts at lunch. So everyone kind of comes in. We welcome them. If FCA is with it, we have a big banner that says like FCA. We're trying to reach like everyone in the community so we know this club is happening. So even if they didn't hear it on the announcements or aren't on the reminder Instagram, they can see it and come check it out. Like they might just peer through the door and say like, oh, there's pizza. We'll come in. And then they get to hear the love of Christ and the gospel from our speaker. And that's really what we want to do with outreach and stuff. But on a normal day, everyone will come in, they'll get their food if we have it, and then we'll pray for their food. And then a lot of the time we have a guest speaker, whether it be a professional athlete or a youth pastor from a local church. We'll have them come in and share a message from the Bible or from their story of how they met Christ. And with that, then at the end, a lot of the time we have a prayer to receive Christ, or we also have an opportunity if they want a Bible or if they want prayer. We always ask them if they want to like talk to anyone. We know like our leaders or Mr. Hardy always wants to talk to them. And then at the end of the club, we like pray out, and then we're basically done, and we just have community with them.
Yeah, that is. So essentially, kind of think of it as like a little mini church, but in school.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's your favorite part, from any effort about this club, during that day and time?
I really like usually what the speaker has to say. I think they always share something that someone needs to hear. It may not be you one time, but someone in that club needs to hear what that speaker is saying, and it's speaking to them, because after every club you always have someone like raise their hand. It's like, yes, that really impacted me, and I want to hear more about this. So that's always really fun.
And, how do you guys get these guest speakers and, from any kind? I know we've seen athletes, former athletes, and also church members. How do you guys get those and come to the school?
So the church members, we have a list of like their phone numbers and stuff. So I, as the president, usually like contact them and try to get them in every week. And then for the professional athletes and stuff, we work with FCA as a whole, like the actual like Sacramento area. We have a person like overseeing it. So then I work with him to get us one of the speakers, and that speaker will come to our high school as well as a lot of the other high schools that have FCA club in like that given week or month while he's around.
Definitely. Yeah, you guys tend to attract some big names too.
Mm.
So, Hallie, as a student who goes to this club every day and constantly, what is the one thing you enjoy the most about this club?
I think also hearing the message from like all these different people from different walks of life, whether they're a leader in the church or an athlete, you get a lot of perspective from someone who's walked some more life than you have, and have a lot of different experiences than you have. And it's really helpful to kind of take that and help bring it into my life and think about how I could do things better or do things more for Christ than for myself. And so it's really inspiring.
And are there any like particular messages you've heard from past speakers that really just like sticks with you or is one of your favorite of all time?
I think the one this past week was really, really good. He presented it in a way of almost like rapping, kind of like poetry.
Wow.
And it was really, really cool to see that because it reaches different people, the different styles that people have talking. And his story was really impactful because he went through so many hard things and he still like found God and is such a strong believer. It was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And what was this speaker's name particularly? Do you still know that name?
Joaquin, right? Yeah.
Joaquin? Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Yeah, but, the FCA club has been around, obviously, for a while, but when I went and found out, learning more about this club and about this school, this club just doesn't resent with just us. We didn't create this club, and not just in the state of California or in our area, NorCal. This is a global national club that's around the world, and it's been around for a long time, since I believe the 1950s. And as we look at this chart right here, we have over 110,000 people that attend the camps, over 20,000 certified hurdlers from coaches, campuses, and teams, all international. And this organization exists in 115 countries, which is over half of all the world's countries. So, Mr. Hardy, when you see this kind of information, how does this make you feel that we're not only making a difference, but this club is worldwide?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. For example, a former Rockland High School student who I taught maybe 25 years ago, basically leads FCA and Athletes in Action at Brown University in the Ivy League, for example. So it's just neat. I mean, again, when we talk about our faith, we believe that it's God's agenda that he would be saving people all around the world. It talks about people from every tribe, tongue, and nation will come to worship Jesus and to know God for all eternity. And it's just neat that FCA is part of that. That's exciting, because I know FCA has a doctrinal statement that we can really support, that's very biblical, that's very gospel-based. We also know, since it's a recognizable name that people are aware of, they get a lot of people that donate and support the club. And that's how the club can afford to bring things like free Bibles to give out to students, can afford to regularly bring pizza, to make it kind of a festive atmosphere at the huddles and things. So, yeah, it's just exciting. I mean, really, any Christian who studies their Bible knows that the gospel, the spread of the gospel, is a global thing. So we never want to say, oh, America is the Christian nation and so forth,
right?
At some exclusion to other places, that we believe God is saving people around the world from every background. And it's neat that FCA is part of that.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to me, I may not be super religious, but, I agree. I think God should be around everyone. Everyone deserves God. But yeah. But, since this club is global, have you ever gone to any other clubs outside of this club, maybe across the nation or in other school districts? Have you seen any FCA clubs?
every once in a while, it's hard, of course, because most of the gatherings happen during the school day. But every once in a while, there's a regional gathering for leaders from various campuses and faculty advisors from various campuses, presidents like Zach and so forth. And those have been really encouraging to see students, for example, from Granite Bay High School and Casa Roble and Mesa Verde and all these other places come together for kind of a big celebration. So, yeah, I have seen leaders from various clubs in the area.
Yeah, I was going to say it was really cool because over the summer we kind of started like a Zoom meeting with all of the presidents from all the high schools around here. And we kind of went through like the FCA training and like some books in the Bible together just as leaders and presidents of our own high schools. So there was like 10 or 12 different high schools on this, like their leaders were on this Zoom call. And we did it like almost every week where we did that. And then over the past few months, we've called a couple times as well to like share how our huddles have been going at our own school, what's been working, what hasn't been working, and what we need prayer for. I think that's really cool. It's not something that we've had like last year or anything before that. So being able to see like how these other clubs at different high schools are doing and how we can like help them or take advice from them as well has been really cool.
Yeah. A lot, definitely a lot, seeing like, are you guys kind of considered like this one global community, around this club, FCA and all the other surrounding regions?
Yeah, and some of it, of course, that's what Zach's talking about. Shout out to Jeff Pitnikoff, who is our regional director. He's been really activist in a really good way, just caring deeply about wanting clubs to thrive on various campuses. So he's been one of the guys that's been setting up things like that, like those leader meetings, those Zoom calls, other encouraging things, summer camps, so forth. So just hope those kind of things continue. I hope, obviously, that FCA thrives well after Zach and Hadley are gone, even after I'm gone at Rockland High School, that it'll keep doing its thing.
Yeah. And, I'm going to go back. So, Zach, as a president, how do you believe that the FCA is, potentially changing lives for the students who walk in, athletes or non-athletes?
Yeah, every person that walks in is going to hear the good news of Jesus Christ and what he did for us. And whether they make that decision that day to give up their life and follow him that day is one thing. But if they've just heard this message as they graduate high school, as they go on in their lives, like they've heard the message, so they can always fall back onto that. So then when they maybe hear it again, they're like, oh, wait, that's what FCA was saying before about this guy, Jesus, and maybe I do need that in my life.
Yeah, definitely a lot around. But, I will say, is there one lesson that you learned from this club, about maybe like a life lesson or anything that the club has taught you for yourself?
Yeah, I would say it kind of goes, one of my favorite verses is like, don't let anyone look down on you because you're young, but set an example in speech, life, love, faith, and purity. And kind of as high schoolers in this club, like we can set an example through the way that we talk, act, and live so then people can see Christ in us while we're at school. And they can see something's different about us. And then we can invite them to this club and they can hear the gospel and what's different about us.
Yeah, definitely. So now for Hadley, obviously I know you are a student athlete. I know you play water polo. To you, as an athlete and going to this club, how has this club changed the way you view sports?
I think for me, it's a good reminder that I need to keep my identity in God and not in my sports or what I'm doing in my life, like day to day. I need to remind myself like that my value isn't placed in how good I'm playing in water polo or how good I'm swimming one day. Like it's all comes back to God utmost, like before anything else.
Yeah. And what experiences have made you, reflect on yourself in that mindset?
I think one thing is like having practice so often, it takes up a lot of time and it makes me feel really busy and like I don't have time to sit down and maybe pray or read my Bible. And I think that like just reflecting on that, making sure that I do take that time, even if it means leaving practice an hour early to go to youth group on a Tuesday, like that's what I've had to do. And that's made me realize that it's more important to be at church and be learning about God than necessarily be at every single practice if I can.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that. Definitely got a lot of commitment when it comes to God. But, as a person, have you kind of like mentioned that to maybe, encourage some of your teammates, maybe take the time to, listen to God, study the Bible. Have you done that for some of them?
Yeah, totally. I have quite a few teammates who are Christian and Mormon as well. And so we all kind of share that like common belief in Jesus, and we know we can support each other through that. So like when it comes to like sometimes we pray before our games, and we make sure that we're always reminding each other, like keeping each other accountable in our faith and being like good stewards of Jesus to others as well.
And do you guys, do any like maybe pregame rituals, before you get in the water and you jump the game? What do you guys do exactly?
Not too much, but we do often pray before our games, just like a few of us together who, want to. But that's about it.
Yeah, definitely. So, going, Zach again, obviously, how do you see this club moving forward at this school, maybe once you're gone, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that it continues, and we're having leaders be put in place. We have 2 underclassmen leaders. They're sophomores right now, and they definitely are learning and growing and definitely capable of being leaders in the future for sure. So I want to just see them continue this club and continue sharing the love of Jesus on this campus, whether it be through FCA or if we need to just have the Bible study club. But as long as we still have a Christian club on this campus, we should continue.
And have you given, maybe some advice to those younger members who you think maybe want to be leaders someday, or maybe even another president potentially?
Yeah, I mean, just stay strong in your faith and know that it's not about you and your performance, but about God. So you don't have to stress about anything like that, because it's not your identity, but it's the one that's set in God.
Yeah, definitely. And, sorry, I want to pass on you. What do you believe that this club has that no other club on campus has?
Well, I mean, I would say if I had to pick one other club, it would be the RHS Bible Study Club as well. But I mean, fundamentally, we believe that we have the most important thing that could ever be offered to somebody, and that is salvation through Jesus Christ. That this life on this earth is not all that there is. That we believe that everyone is created as an eternal soul, and that our design is that we would spend eternity with the God who created us in a love relationship. That is made possible by what Jesus Christ did, by living a perfect life and then dying for us on the cross, taking the penalty of our sin that we deserved, and he offers us in exchange his righteousness and therefore reconciliation with God. So again, that's kind of a big question, and I could say, well, hey, we offer free pizza and nobody else does that.
Yeah.
But fundamentally at its core, we believe that we offer the greatest gift that anyone could ever receive, and that is eternal God himself, Jesus Christ, dying for you that you might live. And that's what people can find at FCA. And it's honestly, I love teaching. I love teaching economics, so forth. But when it comes right down to it, the most exciting thing that happens in my classroom on campus is the proclamation of the gospel. And I'm just privileged and thankful to be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely. Do you encounter like any experiences where like one person, maybe one student or two, or like they really need help, like they need an answer, and like you come to them and maybe say, hey, God is with you always. Have you ever had those kind of experiences before?
Absolutely, yeah. And some through FCA, and then some through, I try not to cross any lines, but even in my classroom, I share with people that the most important thing in my life is my relationship with God. And sometimes students will approach me when they have particular questions about faith, about the Bible, about life, and have had some really good conversation with students. Some of that happens through FCA as well, because as Zach even mentioned earlier, a lot of times at the end of the huddle or at the start of the huddle, the end of the meeting, I'll yell out, hey, I'm always here, guys, if you ever want to talk about the Bible or things like that. And often students do follow up on that, including even some of our leaders will come in and say, hey, I've been wrestling with this issue. I've been thinking about how can I share with this person. I've been struggling with this aspect of walking my faith. And we'll have a good conversation. I mean, I believe, and the Bible itself claims it, that it has everything we need pertaining to life and godliness. How to live this life to the glory of God. We can always turn to the Bible and get answers. like you said, for example, even realizing that in every circumstance, even in difficulties, God is always with us. He will never leave us nor forsake us, if indeed we're a child of his through what Christ has done.
Yeah, definitely. God does a lot for us. Even if he's not here, he's always watching us. He's our protector, essentially. Yeah. But I want to turn this for you, Hadley. What is one thing, one piece of advice you could say for anyone who wants to, get into studying religion? What is one thing that you would say to them?
I think that if you have any interest at all and you know someone who's involved or is a Christian or knows something about the topic, definitely ask them, because they would be more than happy to talk to you about it, because as Christians, that's one of our duties, is to share the gospel with people, and it's something that I'm sure we all have in our heart somewhere to tell someone about Jesus. And so definitely ask them, even if you're a little nervous, like they would be happy to talk to you.
Yeah, definitely. I actually like that a lot. Very opening the door for them to get help. And, like, if they want to do it, they should go do it. Yeah. But all right. Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up for today's episode. I'd like to thank you all for talking about the FCA, Mr. Hardy, Hadley, and Zach. Thank you all for coming in. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's been fun. Got a lot of conversation to talk about. All you folks, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and check out more from Rockland Media and for more from Live from M5. I'm your host, Mark Bonitz, and thank you for watching. See you next time.
Alrighty.